In today's podcast, I sit with Joshua Smith. He's a top real estate agent that has been in the business for a number of years. He was a top 30 under 30 by the National Association of Realtors. He has built 6 businesses. He mentors and coaches over 5,000 agents worldwide, and he is still running a top team in Arizona. You're really going to like his energy. He has a lot of great tips for professional real estate agents, for professionals, and just living the best life that you can absolutely have. Take a listen. You're really going to like him. All right, Joshua. Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you can join me.
Yeah, no, stoked and honored to be here, man. I'm excited for this.
So Joshua, for those that don't know your story, take me back. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so 2005, I'm 23 years old. My dad owned and operated gyms for 30 years. So I grew up in the health and fitness industry, the health club industry, and he had sold our facilities or his facilities and retired when I was 18 years old, right when I was getting done with high school, going into college. And, I stayed in that industry though. And, I was running facilities, district sales manager for other facilities. But quickly I realized that, man, it was like every time I started making good money, they would restructure my compensation models. And, quickly realized that, look, if I want to create what I want to create, like I got to get into ownership. So, and again, 23 years old, college dropout, $1,000 to my name. For me to create what I wanted to create was going to cost about $800,000. Now, this was 2005, and I was like, okay, I don't have a way of raising the capital. Nobody's going to give me a loan, but I was looking at real estate, and every realtor, the perception was that every real estate agent that was out there selling, and again, the market was booming. That 2005 was very similar to like 2021, was okay, they're just making money hand over fist. So I was like, okay, I can jump into real estate. I thought it was going to be a short-term play, like 4 or 5 years, raise the capital that I need to go open up my own gym. And so I just jumped in, used that as that vehicle. And I always say that very quickly, health and fitness became my passion, where real estate quickly became my obsession. So I jumped into it 2005, hit the ground running, did 48 deals my first year. That then brought me to a capacity. Now, the blessing that I had is my previous career, not only did I have a lot of great sales training and a lot of great sales mentors, but one of the skill sets I had to learn, to be a manager and a district manager was how to build out sales teams. So because this was before teams were really a thing, right? So was at my capacity. I wanted to double going into year number 2, but I realized, okay, there's no way for me to possibly do this on my own. So then I went there and hired my first assistant to take away all the essential non-money making activities so I could allocate all my time on money making activities. Then boom, that brought me to 103 units. Then the following year, I got to the point where, I'm 2 to 3 weeks booked out from being able to work with buyers, sellers. I just hit another capacity. So that's when I started bringing on agents. So I guess you could say that my team officially started in 2007. So since still running, operating a team here in Phoenix, Arizona, we've sold over 7,000 units now. We're, several $1 billion in real estate sales. And I've got some other ventures attached to the real estate space as well. But yeah, still just run and operate my real estate team here in Phoenix.
And how many agents do you have on your team currently?
So just over 50. So we got just over 50 agents, 50 and some change. Currently doing just over last year, we did 703 units. So just over 700 units a year.
Yeah. And other related businesses to real estate. Let's talk about that. What other stuff are you doing?
Yeah. So, for my first 10 years, dude, it was just growing my real estate business. Now going back to the reason why, what I realized of not only am I passionate about health and fitness and working out and but the thing that I loved that was most attractive to that business for me growing up was, my father could go out there and take a vacation and the facilities would run that, like he could be gone for a month and they would still run and operate. So when I decided that, okay, hey, real estate, like I said, is my obsession now replaced, my what I thought was my obsession, but health fitness became that passion. I was like, hey, I think I can create that same business model here in real estate, in creating a business with legs, right? Meaning that it can run and operate without me. So that was goal number one, man. And so it took me 10 years to do it, 10 years to figure it out. And part of that was, jumping in 2005, then, okay, had a few short years of good market, like just regular market. Then the great financial crisis, hit, and that was a whirlwind, adapting and building and navigating through that. But anyway, it took me 10 years to be able to get to the point where I could exit from production and exit from day-to-day operations. So then, though, I go from working like 80 hours a week to now I'm bored. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with myself? I got to let my leadership team do their thing. I can't keep meddling in, So then I started assessing, okay, what's the next journey? I'm in my early 30s. I don't want to retire. So then I was like, okay, well, in order to, build one of the top teams in the country, I had to get damn good at coaching my agents. So I'm like, I enjoy coaching. I'm good at it. I also had a lot of demand. So, at this point, I'd become the 30th top realtor in America. I'd, won NAR's 30 under 30, top 30 realtors under the age of 30, which got me a lot of nationwide publicity, notoriety. So for years prior, I had so many realtors and other team leaders reaching out, being like, hey, Josh, will you coach me? And I was, my response was always, I'm too busy building my own thing. I don't do coaching, If you have any questions, I could try to help you out, but I'm not going to take on coaching clients. So the demand was there. I knew I was good at it. So then that's what led to, starting my second company, which I still have now today. So I don't even want to say nationwide because I've got coaching clients all over now, Canada, New Zealand, other countries as well. But then from there, okay, as I jump into the coaching program, very quickly I realized that there's a need for certain specific software. So I guess the trend here is everything I've created wasn't necessarily intentional. It was out of demand. So that then led to, creating, not that there's not great software to run real estate businesses, but what I realized at that time is, every great all-in-one platform, website, CRM, transaction management, all your great all-in-ones were really created for the mega team leader, the brokerage owner that has deeper pockets. There was nothing that was in that affordability range created for the individual realtor. So I went out there and on a mission to go out there and create that. So I launched that about 6 years ago. And then now I'm part of a franchising company. We've got 105 locations now throughout the U.S. Brokerage locations. So my, as the franchisor, our clients there are the broker owners, helping them launch their brokerages and, grow and expand their brokerages. So everything is pretty much attached to the real estate business, other than I have one, which is a supplement business, which is kind of a hobby. But, pretty much everything lives in that real estate ecosystem.
Josh, how important is energy in your business?
I think energy is everything, man. And maybe in a different way than some people think. Because some people can look at energy from, a mindset mentality, which I think there's a huge component to that. But I think it's I think energy management, at least in my experience, is more important than time management. It's one of the essential, hacks, if you will, to productivity. And again, energy I look at twofold. Man, I got mental energy and physical energy. But when I eliminate the brain fog, when I can think clearly, I have the mental energy to go out there and execute, plus the physical energy. If I can go out there and operate at a very high capacity and get amazing output for 16, 17 hours a day, when my competitors might only be able to do that, for 6 hours or 8 hours, it gives you a huge edge, So yeah, I always want to eliminate and remove any constraint. So, when it comes to me, at least when it comes to my health and fitness goals, energy management I have other goals aligned with that, but energy management's always the top of I guess the top priority there. So the way that I train, the way that I eat, the way that I sleep, everything is based around how do I maximize my energy. So let's just say I'm sleeping 8 hours a night. I got these 16 hours each and every day to get the most output, not just for business, but, hey, I want to go out there and grind hard at business. But then when I get done with business, I got shit in life I want to do outside of there. I got 3 kids. I got a wife. I got, other hobbies. So I've just found, man, it's dude, for me, it's everything. Because if I can get in 15 minutes what takes the average person 60 minutes to do, when I don't suffer from decision fatigue in the same way that the average person does, when I don't have brain fog, when I can think clearly, be mentally sharp, but then physically sharp, man, it makes a world of difference. Now, the part of the story that you didn't hear is in my early 20s, I got massively depressed, and I allowed my health to fully go. So, I grew up, like I said, in the gym business, man. I was a, wrestler. I competed in bodybuilding in high school, personal trainer, and just did a 180, dude. So my 2 chicken breasts and broccoli quickly became 2 double bacon cheeseburgers from, whatever. And so next thing you know, I'm almost 300 pounds, morbidly obese, could barely get up a flight of stairs, and about almost 2 decades ago now, I decided to flip that journey around, pull 180, went on my 100-pound weight loss journey. So I've lived both worlds, and I can just tell you, man, there's just one of them is it's much better than the other, man.
How long did it take for you to get to 300 pounds, and how long did you live in that world?
It only took about 18 months to get there. And then in that world, honestly, it was for over a decade. And when I say it was over a decade is because like so many, I recently just read a stat and if people fact check me on this. This is just a stat I heard on a podcast, but it sounds like it would be pretty valid, pretty true. It was by a PhD in nutrition. So I'm guessing he, has some pretty accurate data on this. But he was saying that, look, 9 out of 10 people that go on diets, they end up losing the weight. So it's not the people don't have a problem of the initial weight loss. It's the ongoing adherence to the diet, the lifestyle, where then, it's something like, okay, 9 out of 10 lose the weight, but then 7 out of 10 within 12 months have regained that weight back. And it's funny because now even with my real estate, agents, whether it be on my team or my brokerage or my coaching clients, this is something I'm always working with them too, is like, yeah, we got to have the plan. I can help them come up and craft with a plan, but people's deeper issue is that long-term adherence to the plan so they can get those long-term consistent results. I suffered with that just like the vast majority. It took me a long time to not just, have a diet, but like learn to, how do I create this into an ongoing lifestyle? Because I would lose 40 pounds, gain back 30. It's just this yo-yo, right? Lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it. So about 5 years ago, I lived in that kind of up and down world, before I fully committed to it, got extremely serious about it.
And what is it? Is there certain hacks? Is there certain tricks? Is there that allows the long-term adherence from a diet to your real estate business?
Yeah, and then so this is a great question because again, this is if people don't dial this in, it's very difficult, right? And this is again the vast majority of people's problems. And I experienced this as a personal trainer, I experienced this myself, but then also as a coach too. I've coached and mentored over 5,000 realtors, team member, broker owners now too, and that's people's core problem. Because anybody like you or I could give anybody the plan. Yep. In 15 minutes of learning about their business, where like here's the plan. Okay, now it's that consistent execution of the plan. So, so step number one is to make sure that they have extreme clarity on what they want, why they want it, why it's important to them. Yeah. And most people just don't spend the time on getting this clarity, but clarity is power, right? Because you're going to have 1,000 reasons as to why not to adhere to this plan, 1,000 reasons as to why not show up and do the work. And usually you're only going to have 1 to maybe 2, 3, reasons as to why. So we got to have extreme clarity on why this thing is essential for this, why this thing must become a must for us. Then step number 2 there is then we identify the best proven plan to get us from where we're currently at to where it is that we want to go. Now, the blessing of this is it's not like you or I or pretty much anybody I'm guessing that's watching or listening to this podcast. It's not like we're Elon Musk trying to revolutionize interstellar space travel to save the human species and trying to create something that hasn't been done before. At least for anything in my life, any goal I've ever had, like other human beings have had success at doing and achieving what I wanted to go out there and achieve. So it's not too difficult to identify the right proven plan. And when I say proven, like, okay, there's been enough evidence that, hey, if we do this thing, we follow this thing, it's 100% going to work. So then getting that and how we know if we have the right proven plan is where it removes any element of guesswork. So you should know with precision what you must execute on every single day, every single week, every single month, every single quarter, every single year to get that, output, get those results that you want. Then from there, now I'm going to make sure then, so now we've got clarity on what we want, why we want, why it's important to us. We've got the right proven plan. Now then everything else that I'm talking about is for adherence, right? Okay, so the next step is to make sure that we have our right tracking system in place so then we can track and measure our execution and our progress, right? It becomes extremely important, right? So, okay, so I need to identify what are those main KPIs. So in my real estate business, it's, number of leads, it's number of reach outs, combos, appointment set, appointment conductions, clients closings, and diets. Okay, I'll be tracking my workouts, but then, my overall caloric intake, my breakup of my macros, all of those things. So, but it's all here's the thing is it's all the same process, right? So, okay, we got our tracking system in place so we can track and measure to make sure that we're playing the game in the right way. Then from there, I need to identify a realistic, doable schedule that allows me to adhere to that plan. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go break that down. Now, real estate is an example. And I'll give the health and fitness example too. But in real estate, it's like, okay, like if I'm an individual agent, my methodology here is to set up your day to win by noon. So what I mean by that, let's just say I'm an individual real estate. I want to be popping a deal a week, so 4 deals a month, which is with today's prices, incomes, commissions, like that's damn good money, right? So then, okay, that's going to look like something. Okay, I'm going to start my workday at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. is maybe me responding to any urgent emails that came in the night before, updating any leads that came in the evening before into my CRM, getting ready, then prepping for my daily lead follow-up and or prospecting calls. Okay, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., pounding the phones, doing my lead, based on whether your business inbound, outbound, but doing my lead follow-up calls or my daily prospecting calls. So let's just say, I want to get a listing a week and I'm going after absentee owners. Like I know, okay, it's 100 dials, 10 conversations per day, Monday through Friday. I'm nailing a listing a week. So, a 2-hour period of time, is enough time to have the conversations that we need to go out there and pop a closing a week. So then from there, okay, 10 to 10:30 might be, past client sphere of influence, miscellaneous lead follow-up. 10:30 to noon would be essential non-money making activities. So client updates, emails, returning messages, paperwork. Then noon on, what I call pounding the pavement time, this is going to be blocked off for like listing appointments, buyer consultations, showing properties, any client, and then any downtime I have, okay, that can be either more prospecting or what most need in this area is dialing in processes, systems, and skill set, right? So that's what I mean by, developing a schedule, but dealing in realities. A lot of people, it's no different than like when I was personal training, people, like everybody wants instantaneous results, right? They want this 6-minute abs. So, somebody that's never worked out before, they come in about, I want to work out every single day, 6 days a week. Okay. That isn't going to be doable. That's going to, you're going to probably have some injury. You're going to be too sore. It's not going to be like, let's set up a plan based on where you're at. That's doable. So like, okay, working out for me. Now, if I want to optimize it, okay, I'd work out in the early afternoon. Best time to go out there and work out, at least for strength and muscle gain, is middle of the day, kind of early afternoon when your body temperature is at its highest. But I know for me, that is going to be an impossibility. I got 6 businesses. I got 3 kids. I got if I try to work out in the middle of the day, I would never be able to adhere to it. So I get up at 4 a.m. I train between 5 and 7 a.m. 6 days a week because I know that I'm not going to get interrupted. It's before kid time. It's before business time. So is it the most optimal time? No, but it's the most optimal time for me because I can adhere to it consistently. Nothing is going to get in the way. So, okay, then we got the supporting schedule. And then from there, okay, what are the supporting systems that you need to help you implement on the plan? Because all systems is a place for our processes to live, to be able to execute on the same way each and every time, to ensure things don't get missed, and to also help us execute on those in the most effective, efficient manner. So our processes are just the step-by-step actions for our proven strategy plan that we put in place. So what are the supporting systems that you need to execute on this, to ensure things don't get missed and do it in the most effective, efficient way? Then from there, the next step that I look at is, okay, what are the habits that you need to adopt? And then what are the habits that you need to break in order to adhere consistently to this plan? Mm-hmm. We almost create a separate, strategy plan for, our becoming plan, or habit creation or habit breaking plan. Then there's only 2 elements left. So I'll wrap this up here quickly. But then from there, okay, let's assess your environment. What do we need to do to rig your environment to make it as easy as possible to win and difficult as possible to go out there and lose? So what are those distractions? What do we got to change up with environment? This is one of the easiest levers, to go out there and pull. So a simple way would be like, okay, if I'm trying to lose weight and diet, let me just make sure that, I meal prep accordingly. So when I'm tired and I'm hungry, my food's always available. But then at the same time, let me just make sure that my favorite snack foods are just not in the house, right? So same thing in my real estate business where I have certain things that are distracting me, like so many people try to rely on willpower. And the vast majority of human beings, including myself, have very limited amounts of willpower. So I've found that willpower and discipline are not the same things. Yes, we got to be disciplined, and yes, we got to be self-disciplined to have long-lasting results with anything that we do, but it has nothing to do with willpower. Yeah, right? Like I just remove willpower from it. Let me set and rig up my environment in such a way where I don't need to rely on willpower. Make it as easy to win, difficult to lose. So like an example of this, maybe somebody's like, oh, I got to get up at this time so I can get into the office at this time to get my real estate tasks done. But maybe the problem is, okay, they're getting to bed late. Well, why are you getting to bed late? Well, man, I start watching Netflix and I promised myself I'm only going to watch one episode, but they hook me every time and I watch multiple. I'm too weak for that shit too. I've done that too many times where I'm like, dude, just one. And then boom, they got that cliffhanger. Next thing you know, you're 3 or 4 deep. Now I only got 4 hours of sleep. Now I feel like shit. Okay, just delete your freaking Netflix. Cancel your Netflix account. Yeah, right? Like just remove how do you got to set up your environment to make it as easy as possible, to win and as difficult as possible to lose. And then the last thing is, identifying. So as I'm coming up with business plans and whatnot, and I do recalibrate this every year or, do this every year and then I recalibrate every 6 months. So like this is all fresh for me because I just went through my personal recalibration process for all my businesses with this, which is, okay, what are the necessary skill sets that I must dial in order to have success on executing on this plan? Mm-hmm. So then this way, I also have my self-development plan so I can acquire the skill sets necessary, to be able to execute on this stuff.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Man, but I can see why if you run through that process, you're going to be successful no matter what you do. And you could do it over and over and over. As evidenced by you, 6 companies. I sit back and I look at you, successful, you've built these businesses, you are helping thousands of people be successful in their business. What challenges you from a personal and business standpoint?
Like what drives me or what challenges do I think?
What are your challenges? Because, when I look at this, a lot of like my agents still, especially the inexperienced agents, they'll be like, man, that's a lot of work. That's super scary. That's impossible. What are that Mount Everest for Josh that you look at and your challenge and you're like, shit, that's scary? And
Yeah. So, the first thing that I want to say is, look, I was guilty of early on in my, success journey of putting the top of the top on pedestals and assuming that they had something that I didn't. They were wired differently. They had something that I didn't. But on my journey and path to becoming a top producer and getting to know and become friends with most of the top in our industry, what I quickly realized is like nobody's got anything different than anybody else. These are just people that were more clear on what they wanted. They experienced the same struggles, the same battles. The same shit storms. Or sometimes a lot bigger shit storms. They just kept pushing through and never quit. And so God does not reserve problems for a select few. We all experience problems. And even day by day, it's like I experience the same problems everybody else does. Like as an example, when my alarm clock goes off in the morning, I never want to get up. I never want to go to bed or, get out of bed and go do this. Okay. When I love working out, but at 4 a.m., I'm never excited to work out at 4 a.m. in the morning. And then once I get in there and I'm maybe 15 minutes into my workout, starts feeling good, but I never want to do it. But so in order to create success, you can't operate from emotions, right? So this is the difference between commitment and interested. And the vast majority of human beings are just interested. Success, though, is only reserved for those that are committed. When you're committed, what's the difference? Interested is you do it when it serves you, when it's easy, when it's convenient. Well, when you're committed, you do it regardless of your emotional state. So it's, hey, here's the must completion, activities that I need to do each and every single day, regardless of my motivation, regardless of my fear, whether I want to do them, whether I don't want to do them. I need to show up and execute on these things regardless. And look, it's a learned skill that you just have to push through, and you start with the small things and build up the big things. And like I said, man, I'm college dropout, never made more than $10 an hour before I got into real estate. When you break it down to an hourly basis, I suffered with morbid obesity, suffered with I quit drinking about 5 years ago. And I was a massive drinker, right? Like to the point where I couldn't make it till noon. I built my real estate business and half of my coaching business freaking drunk, right? I was a high functioning alcoholic. But I couldn't make it till noon on any given day without a drink. And I would average, 12 plus drinks every single day for 15 plus years. And I had to battle those demons. And I've had, addictions to other substances and, Adderall and other things and the reason why I bring these up is I've struggled with, so many things just like so many others. So I don't want anybody to think I'm special or anybody else is special. It's just the only difference is I identified, okay, like what I wanted, what are the obstacles, what are the problems, and do whatever I can to overcome those problems. So like an example, I'm very, very introverted. So I have a very difficult time in social settings. And, when we're talking about business, I'm good. But yeah, you get me with a group of people to go out to dinner just to have small talk. Like, dude, it's the most awkward, uncomfortable thing in the world for me, right? But I had a very difficult time speaking, even up in front of my own teammates when I started my team. And I knew to get to the next level of my business, like I needed to become to have the ability to get on stage and public speak. But I was too frightened, too freaked out, too much of, but I was like, okay, I need that. I knew what it was going to do for me. So I went and joined Toastmasters for a year. And I didn't join Toastmasters for a year to become a good speaker and not to say ums. I still stutter. I still say I did it. And I was probably there for a different reason than everybody else in the audience, but I did it because it forced me to get up in front of a group of strangers every single week and deliver a speech. And now I've spoke on 1,000+ stages. I still freaks me the hell out, but I've learned how to push through that fear anyway. Now, my biggest struggles today are scalability, issues, through people. Those are my biggest bottlenecks now is how can we grow at a rate fast enough where I can hire the necessary talent that I need to accelerate growth? So those are my biggest bottlenecks now today. And the decisions that you make, that I have to personally make, at least in my businesses now, are, much more impactful decisions. So really honing in that art of decision-making, because I've chased too many, good opportunities, but that led me, that put me at a capacity where then I couldn't capitalize on the great or excellent opportunities. But yeah, most of my stuff right now, and just like most, like this market is freaking tough. This is the toughest real estate market I've seen in my 20 years, including the great financial crisis, which is the worst housing market in crash in U.S. recorded history. Right now it's at least from what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, it's more challenging, with my agents, with us, like we're having to work more and do more and be more, focused and more intentional than I've ever had to be in my career, so challenges of, because when you get to a point, one of the differences between now and the great financial crisis is during the great financial crisis, it was me with a small team, but I was the team leader, the rainmaker, and it was because I was doing so much production still, it was really my personal actions that really drove the team. Right. Now that I'm not in production, it's how do I get everybody else to take the actions I need them to take to turn this ship around, and so, we're doing that successfully, but it's, so it's like, like one thing that I'm obsessed with right now is, really what we talked about at the beginning of this is getting people to adhere to it. It's like, okay, you know what to do, how to do it, why it's important to do it. Why are you still not doing it? So it's like, a lot of my time right now is spent in, trying to master human behavior, human psychology, and how do I influence people's actions, not for them, not to manipulate them, not to get them to take actions I want them to take. I want them to take the actions that they need to take to create the goals that they want to go out there and create, and that's, that if you were talking about my Mount Everest, that's my Mount Everest right now is getting them to take those right actions.
With extremely driven people like you and me, this is one question I've been asking myself, and I appreciate your time on this podcast. A lot of great insights, a lot of interesting perspectives. I have one last question for you. And this is a question that I've been struggling with. I don't know if you've struggled with this. When is enough enough?
Hopefully never, and when I say that, look, who the hell am I or anybody else to tell anybody what success should mean for their life? Mm-hmm. So that's got to be an internal process. And I've found it to be really important to make sure that your goals are your own. They're not somebody else's. They're not society's. They're not your parents. They're not your spouses. Like, what is winning for you? But I have found, and I'm just going to give you, my experience on this in case it's helpful is, okay, when you set external goals, this is where, okay, we hear the sayings like good is the worst enemy to greatness, so let's just say it's a financial goal. Well, eventually you're going to hit that financial goal. Then what motivates you to the next level? So personally, I like to set goals in aspects of my life that are important to me, that matter the most to me, that can never have a finish line. So, an example, it's like, okay, people are like, oh, what's your why? Okay. All my why is, dude, I want to look in the mirror and see the person, like, who that person I'm seeing back. I'm proud of the person I see, well, what needs to take place through that? Okay. I need to grow into the absolute best version of myself. Well, that is something that's never, like, we can never truly reach our full potential. So I'm going to chase the rest of my life going out there to level up, to grow and to expand into the best version of myself in all aspects of my life that are important to me. It's like, there's no time. I mean, like, I've got kids, but my kids are getting a little bit older. My oldest is, 15 now. My youngest is 11. But I got 3 kids, but like, there's no point in time, even when they're in the 30s, and I have grandkids or whatever, there's no point in time where I'm going to stop being a father. I just need to grow into a different type of father that can support them differently at that phase of their life. Just like in my business is, okay, when it comes to impact, okay, my number one objective in my business is impact. How do I impact as many real estate professionals' lives, and have a meaningful impact on their life at the highest possible way? Well, there's no finish line to that, because there's never going to be a shortage of those that I can go out there and impact. So to me, I don't think that, for me, I don't want there to ever be enough, now that also, this is where I believe that, getting that clarity piece of knowing, like, success does not come without sacrifice. But the great news is we get to pick and choose what we're going to sacrifice. So I've never had to, let's just say, sacrifice my health, or sacrifice, my relationship with my family, or, or sacrifice my business for those things, because I'm very clear on, okay, my health, my family, my business, those are the things that matter most to me. Now, everything else I'm willing to sacrifice. I could care less about happy hours with the boys. I could care less about swinging the golf club. I could care less, right? So I'm willing to sacrifice everything else, but we get to pick and choose, what we're going to sacrifice that. So I guess, okay, if I'm sacrificing, I don't know, my relationship with my kids, just to grow my business, okay, that might be problematic. And then maybe I need to slow down. Maybe it doesn't need to be enough, but maybe it needs to be enough right now and lower growth rate.
I like that. Josh, how do people get a hold of you?
GSDmode.com, which is the name of the podcast. Anywhere on social, Joshua Smith GSD, but GSDmode.com is kind of the hub where you can, tons of free content on there. But then, it's got links to, all of my free content, all the different platforms we're at.
This has been fantastic. I appreciate your time, Josh, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, 100%. It's been an honor. Peace.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronaval Real Estate, and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronaval. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronaval.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.